had a rather skinny superintendent's report, so I'm giving you a heads up that not so skinny tonight. Lots of good news to share with the board and with the community. First, Tracy Bartles is here to give you just a brief update on where we're at with our robotics team.
Our robotics team has started and nearly ended its season, so just wanted to give an update. Never had an opportunity beforehand to give an update, but starting on Saturday, January 4th, was our kickoff event at Kohler Engines, where we watched the worldwide distribution of the game video through NASA, through their website. And so we were able to get the video of the games and the game strategy and start our strategy and design process that day. So the game is aerial assist, and the objective of the game is to build a robot that will work as a teammate to with two other teams in their alliance to pass a ball across the field, and they get bonus points for assisting and passing the ball. There is a truss that goes over the middle of the field. They can toss the ball over the truss to earn extra bonus points. They can catch the ball as it goes over to earn more bonus points, and then ultimately to score a goal. Typically, you can work as an individual robot team and still do well, even though you're part of an alliance. This year, we feel that it's truly going to be an alliance thing because all of the points are kind of awarded. The big points is by passing the ball, and ultimately, the game will end up having one ball for your team. So kind of an interesting, different strategy we have to take. So we started our build season then shortly thereafter, or right after, and we finished the build season on the 18th last week. And so now the robot is bagged up. We have no access to it, but we continue to prepare for our competitions. So we have 2 regional competitions. The first one is in Duluth, Minnesota, the North Star Regional. That is March 6th through the 8th. And then our Wisconsin Regional in Milwaukee is March 20th through the 22nd. So we'll be competing at both of those and trying to earn awards and ultimately trying to get to the World Championship, which is in St. Louis in April. So we feel that we've got a decent robot. We've been able to test it out. We just don't have a way of kicking the ball to shoot the ball quite yet. We can pick it up, we can pass it, we can score. We just can't score in the high goal right now. So we're working on that and preparing for everything else. So we have 8 students, Hannah Riley, Isaac and Olivia Noriega, Sage Legault, Adam Elkire, Melody Hansen, Patrick Aaron, and Emily Ott as students that are participating. And I've mentored for the last several years, and Mr. Robert Banish is mentoring this year, being part from our school. So we have good representation on the team.
Mr. Bartles, what other schools are involved in that team?
Valders is involved, and Reedsville. I think this year it's just those 3. I don't think we have anybody in the past. We've had other schools.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just want to, and Jake, maybe you can add a little bit to this, send kudos out to our FBLA organization, again to Mrs. Main for the huge event that was hosted at Chilton High School on Saturday, February 1st. The Region 6 Regional Leadership Conference was hosted here. I know that a number of folks in this room were here on that day helping to assist as volunteers or as judges. Community volunteers were, I don't know how many. Do you know, Jake, how many volunteers, adult volunteers, did we have for this event?
There was over 100.
Over 100 people that came out from the community to assist. Our students did well. I think Jake represented himself very well as the region vice president. Am I correct in your title? That baton is now being passed to Austin Dawson.
Yeah.
So we will again host this event next year. And we think we've learned a few things from the event this year to prepare ourselves better for next year. So huge event with great involvement from our community. I don't know, when we look at our mission and our vision statement and we talk about developing an interactive partnership with our school district and community that's mutually beneficial, this event truly was representative of that. Anything you'd like to add to that, Jake?
I think you covered the basics pretty well.
All right, okay, thank you. And this is just a bit of catch up back on January 18th, Chilton High School hosted the Olympian Conference Honors Band Festival. And I'd like to just do a shout out and kudos to those Chilton students who are a part of this event. Alyssa Pike, Taylor Beasy, Katie Schwab, Matt Buell, Grant Keys, Emily Ott, and William Elliott. And we've also received a letter, Mr. Brightwell received a letter from the conductor of the event. I don't want to read the entire thing, but I would like to share with you a couple of his comments regarding his stay here with us that day and working with our students, as well as there were several hundred students here that day. While I was not surprised that honors band students would be polite, attentive, and cooperative, after all, they are some of the best students in your building, I was certainly pleased with their dedication and concentrated work throughout our rehearsal time together. Getting to know a different and old conductor in a short period of time is no easy task, but your students responded to instruction, direction, and the entire experience in the best possible manner. Although the festival concert was wonderful, the real power of these events is in the concentrated educational rehearsal the students experience together, getting to know like-minded student musicians in other schools and working together to produce a mature band sound. Having served as a school administrator and building assistant principal, I know the sort of communications that you receive on a daily basis. Too often the truly good in which students are involved are overlooked, unnoticed, and underappreciated. It is obvious that the students at Chilton High School are not only receiving a well-balanced education, but are beginning to realize what it takes to be contributing members of their community. So kudos again to our band leader and to our students who are involved in this opportunity. One of the goals that we have been working on at Chilton High School is to be a sender of Cascade information, and we have broken through a barrier as of last week. Mr. Brightwell, would you like to share the news?
Sure. We have 2 classes that have interest from other schools in the Cascade Consortium. They have interest in receiving from Chilton High School our Principles of Engineering course and our AP Psychology course. So we are, after quite, 16 years, I believe, is how long we've been in the Cascade Consortium. And I do not believe we've ever sent one out. So this is a good source of revenue for our district. It will also promote Chilton High, but also it'll serve the needs of our other consortium schools as well. So collaborating with others for the benefit of all kids.
So good recognition for us as a school district that we are sending courses that are worthy of other districts wanting to receive. So kudos for that effort. Mr. Johnson sent me Representative Paul Tittle's update, and we have a student who is in the news. He said this week, a day at the state capitol, Representative Tittle writes, I had the pleasure of spending time with Eric Gebhardt, a student at Chilton High School. During time at the Calumet County Fair last year, Eric had asked me whether he could come to Madison and job shadow for a day. On Thursday, Eric got a first-hand view of what takes place in the Capitol. He went to the open caucus in the assembly session. In the afternoon, he attended the assembly floor session and had an opportunity to speak to Assembly Speaker Voss. He also went to a public hearing of the Senate Committee on the Judiciary, where there was a bill concerning a medical records bill related to the Office of the State Public Defender. Eric also spent some time with Representative Tittle and even managed to squeeze in a tour of the Capitol. And then there's a picture of him with Representative Tittle and also with Ralph Prescott, who is a Calumet County Board Supervisor. So it was kind of neat to see that that carried through and that he was able to make that visit. So were you aware of this?
Yeah, I signed the form.
Oh, you did? Good. Information from the middle school regarding math contests. This is from Mrs. Pat Schaefer, setting some good news. 22 8th graders participated in the February Wisconsin Math League contest. The contest has 35 challenging wide-range math questions that must be answered in 30 minutes. The contest allows for the use of a calculator. The students were enthusiastic about the tests and their scores. See below for our high-achieving 8th grade students. First place tie was Kelvin Casper and is it Abe Cell. Second place was Caleb Kopecki. Third place, Nathan Schmitz. Fourth place tie with Molly Dawson and Taylor Schultz. Fifth place tie, Chris East and John Nagel. And a sixth place tie with Brandon Ludwig and Rachel Polzin. Am I pronouncing that last name correctly? Polzin? Then following that, 7th grade students also participated in the math contest. The results of the 7th grade Wisconsin Math League contest are: first place, Matt Rudig with a state qualifying score of 32 out of 35. Second place was Joey Larrabee. Third place, Alex Hubers. Fourth place, Emma Bratmeyer. And a fifth place tie among Sam Schmitz, Matthias Beyer, Macy Pingle, Kayla Serwide, and Troy Phasing. And in addition to this, Mr. Bowman wanted to comment about Max Rudig receiving 32 out of 35 questions correctly in 30 minutes. He said, "I don't believe that there has been a state qualifying score from grade 7 in the past 20 years or so." And I think that Mr. Roman would probably know that better than anyone. So congratulations to Matt. This information from Sally Pike, special ed teacher at Chilton High School. We had a special ed senior graduate at semester and enter the U.S. Army. This was a phenomenal feat on the part of the student, the family, the Army recruiter, and the entire Chilton High School staff. It took everyone working together to make it happen for this young man. He's off to a great start in his post-secondary career because of the cooperative efforts of everyone involved. I'm proud to be a part of the kind of staff that takes the individual needs of a student into consideration and does what it takes to give them an opportunity to find success. She also goes on to say that 2 years ago I sent a good news message to the board regarding a student job placement at Vanderhyde Brantmeyer. It was a job shadowing experience that turned into a part-time job for one of our LD seniors. That student has now completed his degree at Fox Valley Tech and has moved on to another career opportunity. And I'm thrilled to say that Vanderhyde has contacted me and asked for the name of another student that would want to fill the position that was now open. These connections and work experiences in the community are invaluable to students. The businesses in Chilton have been wonderful to work with and are providing a wide variety of experiences to many special students from Chilton High School. I didn't want to add any comment to that.
You gotta keep expanding the business connections, get kids in job shadow opportunities, give them the confidence that they can succeed in the adult world. So yeah, just want to keep highlighting those.
Mrs. Mullman wants to make sure that we talk about the Be Kind video that was recognized in the anti-bullying contest. This meant a check to the SHARE program in the amount of $1,500, and then the school received $3,500. I've been asked, Mr. Brightwood, what do you intend to do with the funds?
We're gonna give it back to the students based on our PBIS framework. You should reward students for good behavior, and they've done a phenomenal job this year of keeping each other accountable and standing up against bullying. And without getting too ahead of ourselves, we're looking at, when we do our Tiger Value Celebration Day, we're looking at possibly having an all-school barbecue. So some of the funds will go to that. Other funds are going to go to extrinsic rewards, technology, things of that nature, to keep growing our BYD initiative. So.
She also wants to write that a group of very brave and giving students collected donations of over $3,400 for the Special Olympics polar plunge, of which Mrs. Mullman participated in Oshkosh. Pictures of this are on the district Facebook page, I believe. So if you would like to see a group jumping into the cold, frigid waters, it's there. This in from Carrie Delabrew. Mr. Bartles, I'm glad you're here. I need you to break down. She writes, I was fortunate to attend the NGSS workshop.
Next Generation Science Standards.
Thank you. In Wisconsin Dells with Amy Downham and Tracy Bartles, this proved to be a worthwhile experience which deepened my understanding of these standards. These are science standards that are being discussed out about our state and the country. It gave me a starting point for further investigation and planning. On my return, I was feeling confident enough to give some direction to my science department colleagues and first grade team. This was prior to the news that came to our attention, the this past week about where standards are in terms of our state legislature. So we'll put that on hold for now and wait to see what transpires. Gina Durrell writes that the 5th grade students have been challenged to read 40 books this school year. At the end of the first semester, the students read a total of 1,523 books, and 7 students had already completed the 40-book challenge. She says she's proud of their efforts and looking forward to seeing the numbers increase throughout the second semester. One way to get better at reading is to read. And so by setting these goals, we found that it's been quite successful, particularly at the middle school. Mr. Jewell, I have your note here. We are less than 2 weeks away from the Bandorama concert, which will be held on March 9th at 1:30 in the high school gym. This annual event involves all district concert bands from 5th through 12th grade, and the audience generally enjoys seeing the progression of skills and abilities in our students when they attend the performance. Also, rehearsals for the Chilton Elementary musical are going well. 140 of our 2nd through 4th grade students will be performing in 101 Dalmatians. 140 is more than
The
101.
math doesn't quite come
No,
out.
it's not working, Mr. Jewell. Which will be held in the Engler Center on March 13th, 14th, and 15th. Tickets are available on the Engler Center website. Please come and enjoy the performance. Anything you'd like to add? 140 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. God bless you.
He's got his hands full to move her mind.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
That makes it all worse. Annette Pleshak, last Friday the district had a district-wide in-service day. In general, the day was set aside for staff to catch up, work in their classrooms, work in collaboration with their grade level colleagues. There was some formal presentations on educator effectiveness. There were opportunities for staff members to seek personal answers to questions on that initiative. But there was also a requirement that at least 45 minutes of the day was spent in a wellness activity. So Mrs. Pleshak writes this morning, from the rumblings that have crossed my ears, it is apparent that last Friday's in-service day was healthful. The stress management session, to my understanding, was very helpful, and I personally enjoyed the team building session as well. I also took advantage of the massage, and those can never be bad. We had a local masseuse who came and I believe donated her time to 10-minute chair massages for staff members. I feel these types of sessions are necessary often as we tend to forget about taking care of ourselves when we are so focused on taking care of students. Thank you again for the opportunity. I can honestly say my first reaction to these kinds of things is most often, oh man, I just want time to spend doing all the stuff that I need to do in my classroom. But once I get to the sessions, I feel differently. Change, she says, it happens every day, whether we go kicking and screaming to it or dancing and singing. So, thank you, Mrs. Pleshak. Amy Donham writes, as co-advisor of the Peer Helpers with Courtney DeArmond, it is always our mission to help kids make a connection to our community as one of our projects throughout the year. Back in December, we received a flyer from the East Shore Humane Association advertising that they needed a new roof to continue to provide care for the animals there. Our 8th grade peer helpers took on the challenge of trying to raise money to assist them. The project they designed was a miracle minute where they would attend 2 high school basketball games, 1 boys and 1 girls, and attempt to collect as much money as they could in a minute from the audience. Between the 2 nights that they ran this fundraiser and the positive pressure added by Chilton's fabulous announcer, Dave Holtz, our community responded by donating over $350. We are proud of the time and effort these young men and ladies contributed to this cause and the community for their generous donation. And you know, when I read this, we're going to be talking about a roof that we need on one of our facilities. Maybe this is something we should pursue. I had not thought about that idea. Faye Colbeck writes, I would like to thank the district and the school board for letting me attend the Wisconsin State Reading Convention. The presenters of the sessions I attended talked about conversation and communication and the lack of it in our students today. A very powerful message about how to teach kids to communicate in a techie world, something we can't always forget. Kelly Main wanted to remind us that she received the grant, which we talked about from the Wisconsin Certified Public Accountants. And she writes that it will be used to purchase QuickBooks for the classroom and to help purchase a smart projector for the tiered lab. So that money will be put to good use. kindergarten teachers write that kindergarten is having a fun week full of Dr. Seuss books this week. We are reading and rhyming all week long. Sue, what's going on with Dr. Seuss this week? Why is this a big week?
It's actually Monday, March 3rd, but kindergarten wants to do more than just one day.
They always go overboard, don't they? But March 3rd is Dr. Seuss' recognized birthday.
Right, the recognized one. It's
Okay.
actually the second.
Okay, thank you. Jane Schaefer, is Jane here? I thought I saw her here. She also said that attendees at the WSRA convention, which is a state reading convention, had a great time learning and listening to great presenters. On Saturday morning, Lucy Calkins was wonderful and inspiring. And Lucy Calkins is kind of a big guru in reading and writing, and probably very interesting to listen to and see some of these people that you read about actually in person. Mr. Cuff wanted me to let you know that the Calumet County Rescue and Dive Team recently changed lights in our pool, and they do this on a periodic basis when they come to practice in our school pool, which quite frankly is a service to them because they use our facility at no cost, but it's certainly a service to us because we would have to pay someone to go down and change those lights. So it's a mutually beneficial partnership. This next piece of news comes from, excuse me, Sarah Vanderpass. And there's a student's name mentioned in here, and Sarah was reluctant to share this information with her, and I told her that in order for me to share it, she said, you really need to have the name, Dr. Merck, to understand how important this is. And I said, well, we would need the permission of the family, and that permission has been granted. So with that, I will share this with you. I am sharing this good news with the consent of the parents. One of our students is deaf and legally blind. Elizabeth has no formal speech. Think of going through life with no way other than very primitive gestures to communicate with anyone. Through an extensive evaluation done by the Deaf Blind Outreach Program, it was determined that Elizabeth is at the beginning stages of learning language, and that is sign language. Her IEP team has been working diligently trying to learn signs on our own to help Elizabeth, but it wasn't enough for us. The district had enough foresight and compassion to send the staff that works with her to learn sign language at Fox Valley Technical College. Since we started signing with her, she is much more in tune with any movement our hands and body gestures are creating. She is recognizing that signs have meaning. For example, giving Elizabeth the task of finding a blue ball might not seem like a big accomplishment for most students, but this was such a big step for Elizabeth. She successfully completed this task using only sign language. She's starting to string together two-word phrases that mean something to her, and her negative behaviors are decreasing. Imagine the frustration level Elizabeth experiences when she can't get her point across. She used to hit her head several times a day, and now that behavior is almost extinguished. Her wants and needs are being met more efficiently due to her ability to read and respond to signs, giving her the opportunity to communicate with us. I know this is only the beginning, but what an exciting time it is for Elizabeth, as well as those that help her, Michelle Hapola, Tanya Fritz, and respectfully, Mrs. Sarah Vanderpass. Melanie, you've worked with this student, have you not? So you can understand the impact that this is having on this young girl's life.
Absolutely.
And if you've ever had the opportunity to observe this student in the classroom, when Sarah talks about outbursts, she can have some pretty significant outbursts and frustration and not being able to communicate, lashing out, kicking, hitting those that are around her. So this is a tremendous breakthrough for this student. And kudos to the staff and those that are involved in helping that behavior to change and for her world to open up. And last but not least, Mr. Gillis sent this to me at 2:30 this afternoon. He said, as of today, 94 students and parents have signed up for the 2015 high school band trip and performance in the National Memorial Day Parade in Washington, D.C. So it's nice to look forward to sunnier days and parades. And that concludes my report.
Okay.